Okay, hi, hello, welcome back to this channel. My name is Jucario, obviously, you probably know that. But recently I have completed my first run playing Night in the Woods, which is a game that I'm surprised I haven't played. But the only experience I had with this game is watching Jacksepticeye play it many years ago, and I remember falling in love with the designs and the characters and the story, but it's kind of weird. Like the relationship I have with this game is very weird because I've never actually played it myself, as opposed to something like Undertale. And this game, to me, it feels like it's not talked about nearly as much as games like Undertale, which released I think around like a similar time period. It's kind of interesting in that sense because I think this is a really good game. By the way, if you're not used to this kind of video, this is going to be more of like a just spontaneous. I'm just gonna talk, speak my mind on what I think about the game in like 10 to 15 minutes. So it's gonna be mostly unedited. It's just me giving my raw thoughts. Like, long story short, I just think this is a really good game. I really like the characters. I think that May as a main character is really, really interesting because she's different in the sense of like you can just tell like right off the go that she's not like a typical blank protagonist, right? And that's something that I like about indie games like this, which is like you get to play games where you don't have to insert yourself onto the character as much, but there are characters with enough like depth to them to where you can kind of like, get a sense of what their life is like, what their environment is like, right? What your interactions with your friends and family are like, right? So I would say that that's probably something I really like about this game right off the rip. But I don't even know where to start, to be honest with you. Like, I guess like the first thing I wanted to talk about was that I kind of forgot most of the story. I haven't watched anyone play this game or talk about this game in like years. And it's kind of interesting because I feel like whenever people talk about like, the big, indie games that like blew up in like the mid to like in like the mid 2010s, right? Usually the immediate answer is like Undertale, but I feel like Night in the Woods is like it's not brought up as often, which is like it's interesting. I don't know why. I know that there's actually no, I know a friend of mine said there were kind of like some in hindsight there were some kind of like controversial things about the game. I could be wrong, such as what happened to the composer, like what came out about him and what ended up happening after, which I won't explain for the sake of just YouTube striking me down. But if you're curious, just look up the Night in the Woods composer. Besides, separating art from the artist, the game is overall cozy, which is kind of weird because this game feels like it's like half cozy and then like half super dark and depressing. Which is like for someone like me, which if you've been on this channel long enough, you'll know I'm a big fan of like Nintendo and Kirby games. So basically, just like games that are very bright, vibrant, happy. Those are like the type of games I typically play. It's not that I never play games that are more cynical, but typically I just kind of, not edgy, sorry, on the softer side of things, wrong choice of words. But playing this game was very interesting for me because having to play a game that I got so emotionally invested in so quickly is it's something I don't do often with the games that I talk about. 'Cause even though, like, I love Kirby games and I love Mario games, I love Splatoon, I love all these various games. I love them, but I don't feel super, super attached to the characters. Whereas with May, it's like I'm actually interested in what happens to her in the end. I'm interested in her past. I'm interested in all the interactions that I have with all of the people in my neighborhood. It's like the game is just it gives you a lot. And despite the fact that this game splits into four parts, I feel like part one is a lot more cheerful. But you can start it feels like there's like an exponential decline in like the happy environment. Because part four is like I don't want to spoil too much in case anyone wants to play this game, which I highly recommend for those who haven't played it. If you already own it, play it again. it's I think it's that good. But back to what I was saying, I'm getting off track. The game like it got like exponentially more and more emotional. And I'm not gonna try and act like I'm like this big tough guy who doesn't cry, but I came very close to shedding a tear a couple times playing this game. And in my opinion, any game that can manage to do that, hats off to you because it's not something I try to do when it comes to these games, but because I'm so emotionally invested in a game like this, which is rare for me, I actually care a lot what happens to the characters, the past that the shit that they went through in the past, the shit they're probably gonna go through in the future, and it's kind of, I don't know, it's cool, it's sick, you know. I like even as you're probably gonna see from the footage, something I tried to do when I played this game is talk to everybody in my neighborhood, even if they have almost nothing to say. I just talk to them until I just cannot talk to them anymore. Right? I fed the rats that live in like the that little abandoned like warehouse or whatever, or that abandoned factory. Right? I fed the rats the pretzels. I always told them. Right? I tried to talk to that one grandma who had information on May's grandpa. Right? It's like I just wanted to see everything I can do, and even then, I'm currently gonna when schoolwork kind of dies down a little bit, I'm gonna finish up my second run because I actually want to finish the journal because I think I was missing a couple of pages, and I also want to get the other ending where you bond more with Greg as opposed to bonding with B, which is what I did in my first the run that you're watching right now. So, yeah. Overall, I think one of the coolest things about this game is there's just a lot of what are like what's it called? I guess moments that what are they called? They pull on my heartstrings. I don't I think that's the phrase, and it's like I don't know. There's a scene where I think I could be wrong. I think I'll get to it later, depending on how long this footage is. If the footage isn't long enough, I'll just cut the video to where you guys can see the part I'm going to talk about. But I think one of my overall favorite parts of this game was during one of the nights, especially or not nights, during today, I think, when you talk to your mother, she notices that you're very tired and she says you should rest, right? So something I did was I went to the church because I know now that that area was, you could have access to the church now. I went there and, spoke to my mother, and she said, "Oh, if you're tired, you can sleep in the library, the abandoned library." Right? And and for the first time they open that area up to the player, and they give you the option to sit on the couch, and if you stay there long enough and don't press anything, then your character, or I can't get him, your character May will slowly start to fall asleep. But then the part that almost brought me to tears one time was her grandpa's spirit starts to slowly come into frame and sit beside you as you're sleeping, and I genuinely was like, that has to be like one of the sweetest things I've ever seen in a video game. Like, that's beautiful. Like, whoever thought of that idea, like, you're a genius. Whoever thought of that on the team, that was amazing. Because, for context, if you haven't already kind of gotten this from what I was saying, literally as soon as you boot up the game, she talks about how a few years back, her family she lost her grandfather, right? He got old and, he died. So being able to see him, even if it's as a spirit, because I could be wrong. Again, I've only done one run. I might have missed some things, but that's the one and only time you get to actually see what he looked like. And it's like, I don't know. To me, it was like, I just didn't expect that to happen. I thought you would just fall asleep and, time would just pass by. But no. It just kind of, switches over. I wanted to record this on like Tuesday, and I mean it is Thursday, so I'm not far off. But, yeah, it's one of those things where like it's weird because you can tell that May has, she has her own mentality towards things, right? So seeing the game through her perspective is like, it's something that I don't really think much about because, and this is gonna sound crazy, but May doesn't think like everyone else. And I know this is gonna sound cringe, but she just thinks differently to a lot of people, right? I don't know, and now don't quote me on this. I don't know exactly what she has. I know her character has something. I'm not going to just blurt it out and fuck it. So, you figure it out if you want to figure it out, you can. I just don't remember off the top of my head what exactly she has, but it's because of that led to the events of what she did in the past, and something that is I don't know. It was weird seeing like characters like subtly hint at what happened in the past when like I kind of already knew. It's just that it had taken a minute. Actually, what's kind of interesting is, by the way, whenever I do these videos, I'm watching this footage. I just kind of talk over it. So this that you're looking at right now, this is the scene that I'm talking about, where if you stay there long enough, she'll fall asleep, and her grandpa will just prop up next to you, and that's it. And then when you leave, I think it plays like a little jingle or something. So yeah, I don't know. This was probably one of the more like emotional moments for me. This almost made me shed a tear. Like I remember I outwardly turned around and looked at my roommate, and I had to show him. Like he was sitting behind me, at his desk, and I had to turn around and just show him. I was like, this is beautiful. I can't imagine making a game that's this like emotionally like tied in, you know. But you know, the developers they managed to pull it off because this is probably like the most. This is probably the closest I've come to tearing up playing a game in a long time. And Night in the Woods definitely has like these layers of heavy themes, right? Depression, abandonment, abuse, right? Substance abuse to an extent, right? Broken families, you know, abusive households. Just, I mean, I said abuse twice, but you get what I mean. It's a lot of shit that a lot of games just don't really want to talk about, and you know that's understandable, right? These are deep topics, right? Some games just they want to take the player out of that realm, right? But you know, playing a game like this and hitting, talking about topics that I think, I think the man above that I can't relate to, but I know people, right, that went through similar paths, and to see how they've overcome it and to see how May starts to overcome it, right? It relates, it feels almost like I don't know, it feels familiar, basically, like to see May start to like slowly start to like come to this realization that she can overcome, everything that happens to her, and that was beautiful, right? I don't know. It's kind of late that I'm recording this. I low key just wanted to just chat and then like do a little bit of homework just to get a head start for like tomorrow. Yeah. I guess that means I'm just gonna kind of end this video off here. I don't really know how to end this off, except if I ever find more shit to do in this game, then I'll be sure to make more videos. No promises, but I might do like a future remix on that song because out of all of the songs you can practice on the guitar, it's that one and TikTok, which are probably my favorite songs that you can play on the bass. Which is, I like little features like that. And then there's Demon Tower, which I didn't actually finish. I made it to the final boss, and I realized I kind of fucked with the ending, so I low-key just kind of like molded. I failed the final boss so much, I just low-key molded and just gave up fighting him and just reset the whole tower. So I just reset the whole tower, and I was like, okay, I'll do it in my next. As always, basically TODR. This game is amazing. Play it if you haven't already. Play it even if you have it. Even if you don't want to, I don't care. Play the game. And when you're done doing that, leave a like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. I've been trying to be a lot more consistent on my channel. Instead of uploading once every 5 months, I actually attempt to record every week. So, despite schoolwork, I'll be able to try and push through and get my shit done. Like I said, y'all know the deal. Tell a friend, share the video, leave your take on the game in the comments. I'd love to read y'all opinions. I know there's some people that have played it, some have not. And I will see you guys in the next video. Have a good one.